So in sim racing, there can always be a positive disruption, and the man on your screens, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, to the right hand side, is said person that instigated it back in March of 2020. Welcome to Commentator's Corner, the man who runs multiple different entities, including being a co-founder of Burosüd Plus, how we first met. Welcome to the show, Florian Haasper. Good to see you, buddy, and firstly, Happy New Year.
Hello, Alex. Good to be here. Happy New Year. And glad we finally made it. We discussed about doing this together last year already. So I'm happy that we get it done now.
Well, I'm going to basically list off what Florian's involvement is. He's the co-founder and the managing editor of Burosüd Plus, which is a PR and communications agency based out of Munich. That's how we first met back in DTM of all places back in 2013 at Brands Hatch when I first met the legend that is Annie Bradshaw and then came to know you, and we've known each other for a decade. Then of course the pandemic came around. Virtual competition organisation, aka VCO esports, was then brought along with the herd, and I am of course talking about BS competition. We'll be getting onto that a little bit later on, and then of course things snowballed. Of course, I still have in pristine condition the first ever issue that Florian personally gave to me at Milton Keynes at the VCO Racebot Summit of Send It. And then, of course, there's been a lot that's been happening for you, Florian. But how are things with because you're doing a lot of work behind the scenes, especially with like say VCO. BS competition now we're going to be going into eNASCAR for 2024, which is really, really exciting. Of course, VCARUS, which was unveiled with the AECH back in December of 22 at the Sim Racing Expo. Want to have a catch up with you about that. But how is your typical day? Because it's no 2 days with you are ever the same, mate. Because you're a very busy man. Whenever I send you a WhatsApp or a Discord message.
Yeah. I mean, a typical day. I mean, it's totally normal. This is, I think, what might be special is the variety of topics that we are dealing with actually. And I mean, and it's like in your life or any other person's life. I mean, top priority is family, I would say. So whenever there's anything, I've got three kids. Yeah, I mean, kids they are almost grown up. Yeah, my son is 17, and then 15, the two girls, and 12, and a great wife. So this is whenever anything's happening there, then I have to jump and be there and try to be as good of a dad as I can be, and so this is top priority. Then obviously we all have to earn money and buy food for the people that we love and ourselves. So
Yeah.
so the work at Burosüd Plus with my colleagues here, with my team, this is what we do for a living. I would say, yeah, this is where we earn our money and where we do services for our customers and so on. So I must say this is also or the second priority, because whenever it's about our customers, we have to be there and provide the services that we sold or promised and so on. And then there's the huge area of sim racing, yeah, and the passion that goes in there, and it's a merger of all of that. Yeah, I mean it's my family knows about sim racing now, and they know, okay, what are you doing there, Dad? Why are you spending a Saturday night at 5 o'clock and watching 24 hours of Daytona or Nürburgring or whatever on iRacing or other countless events? And but now they got used to it, and so my family is on the same page as I am. They think it's all mad, but
Mm-hmm.
okay, they don't have to love it. And then BS competition for sure, VCO. So these are all passion projects for me, and yeah, this is where I also spend a lot of time. And actually, it never stops. I think this is also something you can wake me up at 2 o'clock at night, and I will be, I don't know, I will give you a reply, and we
Mm-hmm.
can have a chat about whatever you want in sim racing or also motor racing. So yeah, I don't need so much sleep, which is quite good.
Yeah, that's the thing as we get older, Florian, that we tend to have, we tend to have good quality sleep, but it's very, very minimal. I mean, like, say, for instance, a 24-hour race, whereby you're probably literally having half-hour power naps here, there, and everywhere, whilst trying to juggle when a smartphone either makes you get a phone call, a WhatsApp, a Facebook message, Discord. There's so much that happens within motorsport, and we've known each other for a decade, so we know how each other works really, really well. But of course, let's turn to VCO first of all. March 2020, COVID-19 hits, and then sim racing is thrust front and center into the limelight, and VCO becomes the powerful disruptive but positive disruptive force, where we saw competitions such as the Esports Racing League, the ERL. Then we saw the ProSim series, ProSim Infinity, which was
Infinity.
yeah, and then of course the Esports Racing World Cup, which has for the last two runnings of it has been won by the legendary Team Redline, and of course, as per the VCO website, I do see that ERWC3 is probably not that far away, if I'm very much mistaken.
Well, um, anything can happen, and we want to keep on doing things on a regular basis. But on the other hand, and this is always a bit, I don't know, a challenge. What do you do? What is fruitful? What is the route that really makes sense to follow? And when we started, we were just trying out things. And to be honest, the pandemic was a was a surprise. I mean, for all of
Mm-hmm.
us, but it was not that the timing of setting up VCO was like, okay, there's a pandemic, sim racing goes through the roof, so we do VCO. So the idea for VCO was much earlier, and suddenly we were, I don't know, everything was speeding up because suddenly there was a big focus on sim racing, and this whole scene exploded to a certain degree, and we were just starting, yeah,
Mm.
and we had our ideas, and then so many other things were set in motion in sim racing in general. So since then, I think VCO has developed, but sim racing as a whole has been, I don't know, totally dynamic with things popping up and then going down again. So it's like, where's the consistency and so on? And
Yeah.
this is what we try to bring in, that at least whenever you see VCO on the, I don't know, stamped on a product or on a
Mm-hmm.
series or on something, then you know, okay, I know these guys, and what they do is fun, and it's entertaining, and I like what they're doing and so on. But to be fair, the scale of involvement of, let's say, spending money that we have, because what every penny that we've spent so far was, let's say, penny that we earned somewhere else, yeah,
Yeah.
by work, yeah. So it's
Mm-hmm.
always a big investment. So we have been, or have turned a bit more careful or realistic in terms of prize money, like 50,000, 100,000, and so on. So we really invested a lot over the past years, and now it's rather about refining everything, and seeing, is this really what gets sim racing further? Can we compete with other entities out there that might have, I don't know, more money and more prize money to give away? So I think the whole scene is so much in motion, and we try to stick to our promise that we are there and creative, but we are a bit less crazy than maybe 3 years ago, I would say.
Yeah, there was a lot coming from VCO. Of course, the esports studio is still close to, I think, nearly 90 episodes, with originally being hosted by Ben Constantinos, now two-time VCO Simi Award winner in terms of best commentator, Arjuna Kankapati, with Lewis McGlade trying to spout off on social media. We both know Lewis very, very well. He's a great guy, and it's always in jest, but there's been a lot of hard work behind the scenes. I mean, I've been part of a couple of, like, say, the Virtual Motorsport Online TC UK Championship. I was alongside Cam Roger for a couple of the rounds. It was so good to see the VCO jumping on board. Of course, the inaugural the SimGrid VCO World Cup, where I was in some way involved as part of the commentary team. But then we looked to how VCO is now backing championships such as the iRacing IMSA Global Championship. You've got the tie with Boris and the team at Low Fuel Motorsport with LFMX Flex Stream. You've got like 24-hour series esports, FSR, Formula Sim Racing, the VW Jetta Cup.
I
Um,
forgot about all this already. I think it's we did quite a few things actually.
yeah,
Yep, seems to be true.
but but I think in some respects it's always good when you're seeing brands like IMSA, and you've been a regular in the paddock through Burosüd, and obviously working with one person that we know very, very well, Jens Marquardt, former BMW Motorsport head, now Andreas Ruse leads the team. Of course, they're going into World Endurance Championship with Team WRT. Valentino Rossi is now a BMW Motorsport Works driver and has just been announced alongside Lello Marcello to run at the Bathurst 12 Hours at Mount Panorama very soon. It's quite good that IMSA and other championships are coming on board. That they want to bridge that blurred line that you and I have seen for a multitude of years, and that line has got so small that we're seeing a lot of people either going from sim to real, or they're going from real to sim, and you're seeing a lot of IRL drivers that do get on the sims, like say Tony Kanaan, Daniel Murad, where that line that we saw in say January, February 2020, now in January of 2024, is a completely different
Mhm.
proposition altogether, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is, or it all started for VCO with the Pro Sim series, yeah,
Hmm.
because this was something where we said, okay, there are pro drivers and they are not sim drivers or sim racers. And then there are sim drivers who never have seen a real world track, but this is now completely upside down. So we cannot do a pro sim anymore, to be honest, because we would have everyone could do everything, you know. So this is a huge development. And then if you only, or you already started naming a few, but also with our team on the team side with Bees competition, and we were working with Laurin Heinrich, and
Mm.
now he's a Porsche Works driver doing IMSA, DTM, and all that. So this is, I mean, it's happening, and there are many other examples. Also, currently Phil Deness in our team, Robbie Foley. These, so sim racing is
Hmm.
very much naturally integrated into racing drivers' careers, I would say. Yeah. And then you have and this is the great thing about sim racing, also the big challenge. You have so many different aspects. Yeah, you have got different. Well, you have got content creation on one hand, and you have the actual racing. So, if I think about Casey Curvin, is he a streamer? Is he a racer? Is he? So, I think you can have multiple personalities and facets in sim racing, and this is what I love about it, because it's not just okay, you are what you are, you do what you do, but it's so flexible. You can just tell so many different angles and storylines. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially when, like, say, we're going to mention one of your veteran drivers at BS competition, Niels Noyox, who, for those that don't know, goes under the alias Sim Racing Popometer, which is basically the back the bottom of your arse, as David Coulthard would say when he was running in Formula One. But not, Niels has been with you guys actually now for a couple of years, because I still remember when Gregor Schill and Arthur Camera joined you guys at the Herd back in January 2 years ago, and it's really good to see that Niels is able to not just show his competitive side as a sim racer, but also be sort of like a father figure to the younger members of the herd who are joining. You've just made some new signings as well. I think, if I remember correctly, on Twitter you said, "Never did I think that I would be sending a contract to, where was it? I think it
So,
was Gronau, if I remember correctly." And you just so it's always quite funny how things. I think it was Jonas Wallmeyer, if I remember correctly, who's just joined the herd just a few days ago. It's nice to
yeah.
have people like Niels who have had significant investment into sim racing and are able to give their own insight, even though it might ruffle a few feathers. But we know that Niels calls a spade a spade. He calls it right down the middle as
Mhm.
he sees it. What's it like to have someone like him with the herd at BS competition?
Oh well, I mean, talking about Niels, I mean Niels is very important for our team, and as you mentioned, I mean there are, you could criticize him, you don't have to love him, but he has his opinion. He's straightforward, and you can be totally creative with him. You can have a great dispute with him. So this is he's a guy, yeah, and he's so positive for sim racing in the end, because I think he's seeing it as an industry and as a field where business comes in, but where passion is there. So you need both. So how can you benefit as a driver, let's
Mm.
say by well, you devote so much time and you have to devote so much time to sim racing to be competitive, but how can it be organized that something's coming back, and how can it be done in a sustainable manner in on various levels? So I think he's very good and very helpful for sim racing, and so I'm glad to have him in our team because yeah, we can just create new stuff and connect Popometer with BS competition to a certain degree and just try out new things. And he's very open to new things and setting them up for himself as well. In terms of drivers, let's say in general, as you said, Jonas Wallmeyer and others, Robbie Stapleford for this year, Daniel Alves Lorenco. So there's always a movement, let's say, on the driver market. Yeah. And but what is even more important to me is that we are very, let's say, solid and stable with our drivers. So I almost want to say, once you are a BS competition driver, then you are part of the gang, yeah,
Yeah.
for a decent amount of time. So whenever people left us, this was rather due to, I don't know, external factors. So I'm very proud of that because I always said that the atmosphere in the team should be excellent and we need to have fun. Yes, money or payments, this is definitely a factor, but every penny that we can pay, let's say, that is possible, it's never enough to, let's say, outweigh what time needs to go into sim racing. So
Hmm.
we are still only talking about symbolic wages and salaries. At least I can say this for our squad, and so on. So what we need is a good atmosphere and a good environment and a place where you want to spend some time. And so this is crucial for a yeah for an esports team or sim racing team of our size and character.
Yeah, I mean it's always good to see characters within sim racing, and we've been in motorsport for ourselves respectively for quite a significant amount of time. I mean, I've when and for those wondering, Florian gave me one of the most wonderful gifts. I didn't quite pester you, but I asked for a DTM taxi ride, and it
Yeah,
finally happened at the Lausitz Ring. If you might remember, Flo, it was that really, really hot weekend with like 35, 36 degrees. And you said, well, the DTM car's out of the question, but I'm going to stick you in the BMW M3 GT1. And then, of all people, it was good old Dirk Werner. I've still got the signed visor, by the way. That is
yeah,
still
yeah.
pride of place. And I still remember, because for those wondering, if you are in media and you end up getting a taxi ride, and it was with BMW, I can tell you this firsthand. You get a little blue tag on your Puma BMW Motorsport race overalls, which basically means that the driver has libel to scare the absolute shit out of you. And I just said to Dirk, I said, go for it, buddy, go for it. And there we were, Lausitz Ring, 2012, BMW M3 GT1 spec that ran at Le Mans. In at the point it was that was when Timo Glock was still running in the Deutsche Post livery, if I remember correctly, in 2016. And I just said to Dirk, I said, just go for it. So I didn't realise how close to walls through the curved turns at the Lausnitz ring we were at like 180 kilometres an hour. We were on cold tyres. And so Dirk's warmed up the tyres. We've come through the banked right left-hander coming onto the start-finish straight, and I'm clocking the speedo. We're at 225 kph, and he slams on the anchors going into the sort of like the piff paff chicane at turns 1 and 2. And I remember my rib cage nearly like trying to burst out like John Hurt and Alien. But I always thank this man because it was one of the most visceral experiences as not just a person who works within the industry, but also someone who loves motorsport. And I'm always in your debt for that, buddy. You know that. And I think
But
it
this was a this thing that journalists get, let's say, a taste of how does it feel to be in the car. This is such a great thing, and BMW does it, other manufacturers do it as well. I think I don't know if it's done so much these days, but when BMW was in DTM, this was a huge thing. I mean,
Mhm.
this was the ultimate, let's say, motorsport atmosphere that you could feel. Yeah, and
Mhm.
to be honest, I also did it. I don't know, once by myself, and I will never forget it either, because I think then you have a slight idea of, yeah, being on the track and not just doing our commentating and organizing blah blah surround it. And
Yeah.
this is why we love it, yeah, because this
Hmm.
is what it's all about.
Yeah. Talking about racing, just to remember, 9 months ago, you got your first iRacing podium, didn't you?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I had to try it, and I have a sim at home now, which is unbelievable. And this is a time thing. I would love to do it more. Then I experimented with streaming, and it's
Hmm.
just messing around with things and just being having fun. And I mean, it's absolutely not interesting what I do and what I how I drive and race, but it is yeah. But I have to admit, then finishing, I think in this race, someone went off and then I inherited P3 or something. But this felt amazing. I mean, this was no achievement, of course, because
Yeah.
I mean, I was driving for 5 days and then and then you feel or you have an idea of how people feel who win a 24-hour race virtually, who win any race actually on iRacing or ACC or wherever, but then also in the real world. And this is also something that I will always be thankful or sim racing be thankful for, because I think to get myself even closer to motor racing and to the feelings and to the emotions that you have as a driver or as a team principal or whatever, this is unique, because I always was, let's say, or were quite detached, and you write press releases about it and you talk
Hmm.
about it. But then if you sit in the car, if you sit in a simulator, if you, I don't know, are connected to a team quite closely, then it feels different. Huh?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, I had for the last 3 years, I've been doing the daily reports for Rotax for the grand finals, and it's quite funny when I got like literally 4 or 5 WhatsApp messages. Why aren't you down at the podium? And I said, well, my work doesn't stop when you guys are celebrating with your team and everything and getting the trophies. So I said, there's work to be done. And there were times when, and Florian, you'll understand this as well, when you're waiting for race control or the stewards to decide results, and like the races of, like, let's say typical DTM weekend, back in 2016, it was a dual race weekend format. So you had free practice, you had qualifying for race one and then race one on the Saturday, then you had qualifying for race two and race two on the Sunday. So, from an official standpoint, people from teams were posting results that were, in a way, unofficial. And I remember 2021, we were at Bahrain at the International Karting Circuit, and we had 10 revisions of the senior Rotax results. And and so I was asked by strategic marketing, what do we need to put? And I said, well, we need to put in red capital letters these at the time of this press release going live, that's saying that these results are provisional pending official confirmation. And I was getting message. My phone was like literally blowing up. I was quite surprised it nearly didn't overheat in the temperatures that we were having at that point, which was like 28, 30 degrees Celsius. And there were times when you're still there at the track until like about 10, 11, half past 12 at night, and then it is one of those things, Flo, that we both had experience of it, when as soon as everything's finished and you shut the laptop down on the Sunday evening, you just go, thank God that's over, don't you?
Thank God that's over, and I will never do it again. And
Yeah.
then you sit there on the very next day, and it's happening again, And and I must, if I may add this, my worst experience ever was a 24-hour race at Spa, and I was there with BMW, and they were leading, and I'm always tempted to do the same mistake again and again. I start writing a final report or release when the race is still going on, because I want to be prepared and want to be fast and so on. Same I do with BS competition, when we, I don't know, do a tweet and then you prepare and you want to be quick. And then whenever you do this, you are heavily punished here, because then I, no sleep, the press release was ready. I said, "Oh, if they win it, it's just half an hour to go, so nothing that can go wrong."
Hmm.
And then the car crashed, and then it was no victory, but a P whatever. And then I said, "Okay, I give up. I'm out of here," because then you have to start it all again, and you are tired, and so on. So these were, yeah, funny parts of my career there.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the legend, the enigma that is Mr. Alex Zanardi, ran with Bruno Spengler and Timo Glock in the Z4M with Roberto Ravali at Royal Motorsport, 24 hours of Spa, and Timo's doing the final double stint, 23 hours on the clock elapses, and one of the pistons goes in the Z4M's engine, and Timo is on the side of the road, and
Yeah.
he was just like completely gutted. And Alex and Bruno did what good teammates do. Just go like, look, we pushed, we were on course for a top 10 finish. Maybe we need to do this again, and
Yeah.
which was which is very well personified through the film that Nick and Tim Hanna at our good friends at Stereo Screen did. I still have quite a few of the DVDs, which includes 24 hours, well, one team, one target, where you had great funny segues such as Jörg Müller and Augusto Farfus,
Mm.
who know each other very well, both live in Monte Carlo. And Jörg was saying, "How's your German?" And then Augusto's funny German attempt, which actually wasn't too bad for a Brazilian, uh, made me laugh every single time. I mean, I even had the chance to actually commentate on Jörg when he came over to Karting Genk with Robert
Mhm.
Schlinson from RS Competition, and Jörg was
Mhm.
just of the impression like, "Yeah, I'm just here to have fun. It's just a bit of karting." And then Robert's like saying, "Come on, man, you got to push." And he said, "What?" So it's always quite funny. And like as people said, you commentated on Jörg Müller. Yeah, but I was in the commentary box the whole time, so I didn't actually get a chance to go down and meet him.
Mhm.
Which is also another drawback. But I wanted to get onto VCARUS because that was a project that was developed through VCO, but also Munich Design, obviously Christoph Seibel and the team, and you guys revealed at the Sim Racing Expo in early December the AECH, which is effectively a GT3 car. I think there's probably some people that haven't really asked you this question, but what's the progress at the moment with Vicarus and AECH, and is there going to be a potential timescale? Not, I don't want to sort of like fix you to
Yeah.
a point like saying yeah, it's going to be ready and it's going to be on this platform. How are things
No, no.
looking with the Vicarus project? Because we haven't really heard much about it, Florian.
No, it's true. It's true. It's a funny timing actually that you ask me about it now because after the initial announcement, I had hoped for, let's say, to be quicker in terms of getting this, and the goal was to get it into R Factor 2 to start with. Then there were several reasons why this went much slower than I would have hoped for. And then actually the whole situation changed a bit because the plan was to run it in the ERL, and then the
Hmm.
ERL we stepped down because we said, okay, we will see how other projects out there will develop, and will we look silly if we continue with what we've done, etc. So this is where a bit more, let's say, motion came, or even more motion came into sim racing. Everything slowed down, but actually, a couple of weeks ago, this Vicarus topic, yeah, came up to speed again. So I'm now intending not to bring it to R Factor 2 anymore, but to Assetto Corsa, and then to do certain things with it. First step would be to really get it into the game and then have it available and do stuff with it. So this definitely is the goal now. I cannot give you a time frame, but I hope that it's, I don't know, ready in the next 2 to 3 months, and then we see what we do. Or there are plans or ideas how to use the car then, but let's see. Yeah, but I'm definitely haven't given up on this topic. So
Hmm.
much work from the colleagues at Munich Design went into the car, and I love it. And I mean, the idea was even bigger, yeah, like a range of the car. Now, next thing could be a hypercar, could be a so because why it was born, the whole idea was that I was fed up of BOP. Yeah? I didn't want to have,
Yes.
let's say, so many. And if you wanted to do a certain series, so many of of the VCO competitions were always with single make grids, yeah. And then we thought, okay, then we can create our own car, so it's VCO branded throughout, yeah. But let's see. So the project is not dead. It was close to be dead a few months ago, but now it's back alive. So let's see. But I will keep you posted.
I'm really glad to hear that because when you and Christoph were on the stage speaking to Luke about the car, and we got the first sort of like wonderful designs, which I'll actually be putting on the screen now, which includes a hell of a driver-centric cockpit, kind of showcases a little bit of Porsche 918 Spider with the way it sort of like wraps around the driver a little bit,
Mhm.
which is quite cool, and having a very very driver-centric steering wheel, very much
Yeah,
racing style like we see on the LMDH cars. Um,
yeah,
but
love it. Yeah,
it's I mean like I'm actually looking at it on my iPhone at the moment, and I'm just like thinking, God, I remember when we saw the pictures, and I was like, there's a little bit of everything in there. It's not just
yeah,
but it's its own brand, and I'm
yeah.
really looking forward to hearing from you personally when you send me a WhatsApp and saying, right, okay, it's ready. And
No,
I'm looking forward to seeing when
yeah.
that car hits the virtual racetracks, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, there are many people around who talk rubbish, etc. So if the project dies, I will also let you know. Yeah, so it's always an option. I'm not here to tell any stories. But I want to fight for it, and I want to make it happen. And so I think there's a good likelihood that we will see it racing. Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask now about the decision to go into eNASCAR for the Coca-Cola
Yeah.
series on iRacing. What prompted that choice?
Oh, well, it's also a good question. I mean, we will no, basically in sim racing there are so many things happening, and as a well, if you're a team, at the beginning you cannot do everything. So you're
Hmm.
looking at series, you like them. I mean, we are pretty much a BMW team, I would say. So Porsche Super Cup on iRacing was never, let's say, our main priority. Then we had Mikkel Gayet running there, then Oscar Rewinner, which is great. He will make his return now. So even if the series are big, it's not necessarily that you are competing in it or that you are asked to compete and so on. And then yeah, the conversation started between NASCAR, iRacing, and us, and then we got the chance to do it, and then we still consider, okay, does it make sense for us? So do we have any connection to North America, or do we have any connection to NASCAR racing? And then obviously we confirmed this. And if I look at, I don't know, what we do with Turner Motorsport in the IMSA world, yeah, and so on. So I think there are many people in North America, in the US, who not many, let's say, yeah, in
Hmm.
realistic terms, in sim racing terms, there are people who know BS competition already, and I think there's a good chance that this audience will grow and that the herd will grow in North America through the NASCAR competition, and I'm really looking forward. We've seen this since the announcement a few days ago. Yeah, we have gained followers. It
Hmm.
was a big success. So actually, people seem to care that we are in there, or seem to care about NASCAR teams in general. So we are really excited, and now we will see. Okay, which drivers do we attract, and so on, and how competitive will we be? I mean, our goal is to be competitive. We never want to show up and finish somewhere. I don't know. It doesn't work all the time, but we want to leave a mark in NASCAR, and so let's see.
Yeah. Also, apart from the RWC, which actually took place at Simply Race early last year, um, you know, you recently tweeted about a week ago. I love LAN events. LAN events are part and parcel of sim racing. Of course, there was the possibility that it was going to be in Germany, and then things didn't quite work out. I know about the specifics, but we're not going to go into details about it. But now we've got the battle for glory, which is the top Racing Unleashed drivers, who, funnily enough, at the time of recording this podcast, happens tomorrow in Munich, and it's going to be at Motor World in Munich as well. That's really exciting. That again, that you're you're making sure that there are certain events that are really, really sort of coming to the fore, of course. Like with ERWC, I'm really looking forward to seeing that come back again because, I mean, folks, as a sim racing commentator or a commentator in general, it is so nice to actually be able to spectate. You sort of like you like think, yeah, I want to be a part of this. I might as well give Florian a shout. See if he can get me on
Yeah.
board. But I know for a fact that there are people that have worked with you for quite a long time. Of course, we can't not talk about VCO and talk about certain somebody by the name of Mike Yao, who we know very, very well, who's one of the best broadcasters out there. Of course, Luke, Lewis, Arjuna, Ewan O'Leary are also part of the sim racing space when it comes to commentary. What was the input? What was the decision of jumping on board with the Battle for Glory event with Racing Unleashed?
Yeah, I mean, we had been in touch with Racing Unleashed for quite a while, and because I mean they have a lounge here in Munich. So if you're talking about LAN events, I mean this is so easy. There's a lounge. You can do sim racing there on a very high level. VCO and BS competition. We are also based in Munich, so this has been long in the making that we do something together. Now it's this event, so we look into it, and we will cover it on our channels, and we will try to try to support it as best as we can as VCO, like with our audience that we bring to the table, and just see how we can use the fact that there's a regular LAN place. There
Hmm.
are many lounges out there. I understand that, but Racing Unleashed really has a great concept behind their leagues and so on. So some great sim racers will be there already. I think many of the other great sim racers that are maybe focused on other platforms, they don't know Racing Unleashed so much. So it's also a thing of making it a bit more popular on this end. So I think there's a lot of room for development, but what they have with Racing Unleashed, a place to do sim racing on a high level where you can do a great production, you can have people together, you can invite guests and spectators and fans and so on. This is a great starting point, and I think this is why we work together now for the first time for this event over the weekend.
Yeah. Of course, VCO wouldn't be VCO without the Simmies. We've just had the fourth year of it running, where we've had some new names actually added to the list, and I am actually going to the VCO Esports Twitter because a certain someone decided I wanted to check how many Simmies have been awarded since 2020,
Yeah.
and iRacing, what was it? iRacing have got six. Jimmy
Is it six?
Broadbent has got five. Redline four. Two simmies to BS Competition, Lewis McGlade, Arjuna Kankapati, Fanatec, and the 24 Hours Le Mans Virtual. Then we had one semi Next Level Racing, D-Box. We've got the likes of James Baldwin, UOL, and of course a certain name that I have dropped, Boris Schalk from LFM, was introduced to this year's Hall of Fame. Which is really, really good to see. Reese Carroll was voted through not just the public votes, because there has been an evolution which was quite public about how the Simi Awards were to be done, which has been quite refreshing. And I have to say,
Mhm.
it's great to hear that you and obviously James Parfitt, who's a previous guest, had a very long discussion about it. And I think it's really good that awards like this do recognise the right people, but obviously has to be structured in the right way. It was quite funny because Steve from Speed Capital, aka SimGrid, actually said, "Yeah, I actually voted for you as best commentator for one of the VCO Simi Awards," and I was like, "I didn't know that. I'm not, and I'm one of these people. Like when it came time to vote for the 2023 Simi Awards, I said, look, there are so many people deserving. I wasn't like going, yeah, vote for me, like some people do, which is understandable, and I can appreciate that. And I just said, look, vote for who you think you want to win that award, and let's see what happens,
Yeah.
which is quite a good thing. But it's always good to see that people in this industry do get recognised for it, and I'm really, really pleased that the VCO Simmies have been a way in which the community has a say in the matter of who they want to be a Simi Award winner.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I've learned a lot about sim racing by, let's say, dealing with the sim awards and also working on the format with various people over the years. To be honest, it was always or has always been, and this is very important to me, a very or from our organizational side, totally neutral thing. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I never earned a penny with the simmies. I only spent money in the first years. We in the first year we added free charity money for each winner, which was I don't know 500 or 1,000 euros that the winner could give to a charity. I would love to do it again, to be honest, to bring in more, even more, let's say. Force into the whole thing. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think even just the trophies and the announcement and the yeah appreciation of things is a good thing. But I also must say that that it never can be, and this is a maybe a thing of society in general. I mean, what is objectivity? What is subjective? Yeah. So
Hmm.
is it also is it just or is it a right thing to ask people for one vote in a category where there are nine other people who deserve it? Yeah.
Mm.
So this is a general question where you, I don't know, then you could talk about the Oscars and the Gold Globes and all everything.
Yeah.
So, and after all these discussions that we had, I decided that it's still worth to continue and that you never get it right for everyone because there are many reasons not to like it and not to support it. So I never asked anyone to support it, to be honest. So it's an entertainment thing. Yeah, it's an
Hmm.
entertainment thing. People should think or look back at the year and see, okay, this happened,
Hmm.
and maybe some events are featured or seen, and others were great that were maybe smaller or differently, but that just didn't make it through the nominations process. That comes from the community as well. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also very important. It's not me making up nominations.
Hmm.
So, so I'm totally at ease with everything, or with how the semis went. To be honest, over all those years, but especially this year or last year, and yeah. So I think it's good. Yeah, and I think we will try to develop it further for this year. I dream, or I'm dreaming of a red carpet event, or at least something like that. Yeah, let's see if we can make it happen, or develop it to this thing, because I think, and this is the crucial bit, I think the sim racing community is not just this one community. There are several communities, countless maybe. So
Hmm.
it's always hard if someone says, but you have to ask their community and involve their community. But then the question always has to be, which community are you talking about? Is it your community
Yeah.
or is it this community? And then the next one shows up and says, so I'm a bit critical about this, but I think sim racing deserves that there is a chance to unify behind something where you say, okay, it doesn't matter what I do and where I race, which game I use, which competition I did, which team I belong to. If I'm just an amateur or I'm just a fan and or a pro or whatever, but I accept that this guy there deserves this, I don't know, trophy or award because I like his commentary or I can understand people like his commentary or the other categories. So I think it would be good for sim racing to be a bit more, let's say, sometimes less critical or less, but to unify behind anything because then you are stronger as a whole. Yeah.
True. I think, as the old saying goes, Florian, you can't please everybody. But I think, yeah, if you said, right, Alex, send me your address. There's an invitation, and if it's like, yeah, red carpet to the VCO Simmies, I'd be there on a heartbeat. I'd be booking my
I
flights
would
quicker.
love it.
You know,
I would love it.
that's the thing. I think, as you say, the everyone on social media or on forums are very much can be very hypercritical, and I'm always of the opinion that sometimes if it's constructive and it doesn't come across as aggressive, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. But then there are people who put down their 2 cents, hit enter, and don't think of the consequences, and then get the backlash as a, or someone gets the backlash as a direct correlation. But we'll move away from the simmies because I'm so glad that the 19th to the 21st of January, It's the start of another VCO Grand Slam on iRacing with the iRacing Daytona 24. I mean, I've always enjoyed the fact that I think what is it? It's Daytona, Sebring, the 6 hours of the Glen, and also Petit Le Mans, if I remember, as per the iRacing special events. Again, it's so cool that we've now got all these GTP cars on iRacing that we're able to see people like, say for instance, BS competition going into BMW M Hybrid V8. You've got the Caddies, you've got all the other cars that are starting to come through. Of course, we've got a smorgasbord of new LMDH and GTP cars coming to IMSA and WEC this year. We've got so BMW now having tested the MV8 hybrid with Team RLL in the US, now going with Team WRT with Vincent Voss and the crew in the WEC, and then we've got Lamborghini coming in with the SC63. Porsche's always been a stable. How
Yeah.
excited are you about the Grand Slam kicking off again, where we're gonna see a lot more GTP cars that everyone
Yeah.
sees in real life in both WEC and IMSA?
No, I mean, to be honest, it's just crazy because I think Daytona on iRacing is the biggest sim racing event in the world. Yeah. I mean, you can talk about prize money and others here and so on, but if there are 16,000 or 17 or 20,000 people doing one thing, let's say doing a race at the same time, let's say roughly, I
Yeah,
think this is a crazy motor racing yeah event. Yeah. And so we are just really happy that iRacing allows us to be a part of it. Yeah, and this is one of these various roles that we have as VCO. We are here rather, I would say, a partner of iRacing. We try to support the event. We don't do a lot, to be honest. We add trophies for the winners. Okay,
hmm,
maybe we hope to have another incentive this time, which I cannot talk about just now, but this could be quite cool also in terms of IMSA connection and so on. But let's see. But yeah, we are just totally happy to help or to be part of the whole vibe of Daytona and also about the other yeah Grand Slam events, which are all, let's say, IMSA related events like Sebring, Watkins Glen, and Petit. And I mean, as you mentioned, I've done so many races in the US. I've been to all these races, and so it's for me personally, it's ultra special to because I've been there and it feels like the real races. I must really admit it is ultra special, and I think even though as a driver or a team you don't feel it too much, or
hmm,
the VCO connection is not, let's say, apparent, but I think if you have won your class and you have your little trophy on your desk and you know, okay, I've won a VCO Grand Slam event on iRacing. I think even to some drivers it is something special or more
hmm.
special than just winning any, I don't know, race on iRacing. So I'm really glad that we are part of it.
Yeah, it's like one of those memories that they've got something physical that represents an achievement, and they'll go, "I will
Yeah.
take that to the grave," effectively.
Yeah.
Um, which
And
is
we do posters and stuff, and so there's something haptical and visual that you can memorize. And this is, if I'm allowed to say that, this is a challenge in sim racing. I mean, we've won races with these competition, and in the normal world, we meet for at the hotel bar for a beer afterwards. We
hmm,
can celebrate, or if it was a big win, we rent a restaurant and have the party of our lifetime.
yeah,
But in sim racing, the guys are, if you're not in Gronau in a team house or wherever, then you just shut down the laptop and then it's over and there's nothing more. And then everything's dark and it's very depressive actually
mm,
because you cannot celebrate. I mean, we do things like, okay, we all order food and drinks and we, I don't know, party with ourselves via Discord or whatever.
yeah.
But this is something where we really have to, yeah, increase the value of the LAN events and really yeah, celebrate on site together. And so this all goes with positivity and with the love of being together and hanging around or hanging out together and just party and have fun after a great race. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Yeah, but it needs to be this joy of doing your sport or your passion there.
Yeah, I still remember the talking about celebrations. I still remember 2016 Hockenheim season finale, Marco Wittmann winning his second DTM title. I remember caught up with Augusto briefly, and for those that might remember that weekend, that was actually the final weekend for Martin Tomczyk and Antonio Felix da Costa as official BMW
Mhm.
DTM drivers. I remember because I was there for every single event.
Mhm.
And then I still remember I don't know if you might remember this, how wild the party was. We had Uli Fritz, former Mercedes AMG DTM boss, completely drunk. Myself and you might remember Tamara Aller and Abel Cruz. We used to be like best buddies.
Mhm.
And so we were told, okay, you can come into the party, but make sure you got your media passes with you. Okay, fine, not a problem. And that was the week that I'd actually done a road trip. So I'd actually gone to the Nürburgring, gone to the paddock area, and I said to you, I've got a BMW fleece, which I still have to this day. It still fits. The official BMW Works Puma fleece. And I
Mhm.
said, I'm going to wear it during the party if Marco wins the title. I was a man of my word. And then I remember we put our laptops in our cars and everything and locked the cars up. Then walked past the Mercedes hospitality, wondered where the three-pointed star at the top of it was, and I then bumped into Maxi Gertz, Maro Engel, and everybody else from Merck, including a good friend who is still sorely missed, Ollie Kapfenstein, who we lost a few years ago, former head of communications for Mercedes DTM. And I remember the three-pointed star was on the front of Maxi Gertz's hoodie. So he had the Mercedes snapback, hoodie, jeans, white Air Force Ones, and then had this big three-pointed star around his chest, which had been gaffer taped by the brightest blue gaffer tape I've ever seen in my life. And then I remember Sport Eins doing I remember certain things happening. Marco saying in the press conference, saying, "I'd like to invite everyone to the party at BMW," which is just the Germanic way of doing things. Like if you're the champion, hey, come on, everybody, celebrate with me. Um, and then I remember two of the ladies from Mercedes has actually brought the other three-pointed star at the hospitality and stuck it on the outside of on the window, right by where it said "Congratulations, Marco, on your second title." I took a photo, I showed it to Ollie, and I said, "Ollie, how's about this for a weird press release for tomorrow on Sport Lights or something like that?" Yeah, 2017. Wittmann switches to Merck, like just as a bit of a joke, and then they put out this bullshit article saying DTM Mercedes crashes BMW's party, and I remember it because I got sent the link, and it was so funny because one of my friends went, "Did they actually crash the party?" I went, "No," because Marco in the official televised live press conference said, "Please come to the BMW hospitality to celebrate my second title," and I remember now, I heard a story not too long afterwards, which actually got broadcasted on German media, because of course you were in the paddock at the time as well. Did Marco miss his breakfast appearance the following morning?
I think it's a possibility. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
But, you know, to be honest, maybe I also missed it. You know what I mean? And so we were all happy
yeah,
that there was no appearance. Yeah. So it is possible. Yeah.
yeah,
because
exactly.
because there was this routine, or not a routine, but I think in the morning after winning the title, then there was breakfast TV in Germany, or early morning. I don't know how you call it in England, but
Yeah,
so this was then something. Okay, how did the party go, and so on, which is such a cruel thing you can do to people because this is really early and the party has been long and so on. But I can't remember this particular situation, to be honest. But I just can say all these parties at the end of DTM seasons were great.
yeah.
I don't remember many of them.
That's always well. I mean, especially when there's Weissbier or Pils or Jägermeister involved, folks. It does happen. People's memory
Absolutely.
does lapse, and thank you for being completely honest about that, Florian, as well. But I just wanted to. I've got a final question because I'm trying to wrap these up within an hour, and this is a question I asked to all my guests, Florian,
Mhm.
which is You have a choice of a road and a race car that you can choose to drive. So if you give a no glass ceiling, no budget cap or anything like we have in Formula One these days, my God. So you can have a choice of a road or and a race car, and you can choose either a stretch of road or a track you want to drive them at. What would you go for?
Oh, I must say one thing, and this is maybe disappointing,
No?
or I'm not too much into cars, yeah. So I'm a totally tech noob, yeah. I cannot give you long talks about engines and
Oh
about the
no no no
piston.
no. That's fine.
No,
That's
no,
fine.
no, 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 no. So no, but I know cars and so on, but I'm not a passionate fan, which was always a bit of a help because I never got dragged too much into the whole thing, but I could be, I don't know, a bit detached or neutral on the things. But if I remember when I started 24 hours Nürburgring, I think it was 2004 and 2005 with and 2003 as well. I think in 2003 it was the dry ice drama for Schnitzer Motorsport, where they were the favorites to, let's say, win with the M3 GTR at the Nürburgring, and then there was this formation lap, and they put dry ice, and then the brake lines, I don't know, were damaged, so they DNF'd, and this was a drama. And then they came back and scored 1-2 wins in 2004 and 2005. So the car needs to be M3 GTR for me. Because this is the winning car for me. This is how it all started. And to be honest, it must be Nordschleife as well because so many good memories, so many tough nights and long nights, and then you look at the Beast competition story, 24 hours Nürburgring. I think it was 2020. We won it on iRacing. Then I think 2 years later we won it again. So our big special event wins. We also won Spa, but uh, it cannot be a coincidence that this is also Nürburgring with BMW. So
Okay.
this needs to be the combination here.
Okay. I'm going to. So we're making this effectively, folks, a BMW spec. Final question to commentators' corner.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to cast your mind back a little bit, Florian, because you had the opportunity to drive the new M2 in
Yeah.
Portugal. So I'm going to basically say that car, which I think, if I remember correctly, was the current generation, the new generation of the M2.
Mhm.
And that car I would probably end up driving probably around the Algarve,
Mhm.
but then race car. And this is where I bring back our good old DTM days, my friend.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm going to go with a car that a lot of people might not know the correlation, but Florian will when he'll know exactly which car. The Black Beast, the
Yeah.
2012 DTM Championship winning M4 DTM, if I remember correctly, or M3 that Bruno won. BMW bank car that won the title when BMW came back with a bang, won all three titles that year, and it is the Black Beast at
Major
Hockenheim.
surprise. Yeah, what a comeback, what a development of the whole season. I
Hmm.
mean, when they started, it was, and we looked at it, it was not like you expected
Hmm.
BMW to win the title in the end. It was and Mercedes was so strong and so on. But then it got better and better, and then I think the first podium was at the Lausitzring or the first pole, or I don't know. So Bruno got into the season better and better. And then this finale at Hockenheim and him standing on the Black Beast, like Matador and so on. So
Oh
this
yes.
was this was high level motor racing history written, even if you're not, I don't know, not a DTM fan or whatever, but this was textbook. Yeah, it was so exciting, crazy moment.
I know. I still remember when, yeah, he jumped on the roof of the Black Beast and like literally did the yes like that, like most people do when they've won a title. But I think it was, if I remember correctly, BMW were the winning manufacturers, and at that time Bruno was running with the late legend that is Mr. Charlie Lamb and Team Schnitzer, and he was the drivers' champion. that year. Florian, thank you so much for jumping on board for episode 41, buddy. It's been a real pleasure having you on. Folks, don't forget all the relevant social medias for Florian, for VCO, or VCO Esports, BS Competition. If I find any for Burosüd Plus, they'll also be in the links down in the description. But don't forget, 19th to the 21st of January 2024, the first out of 4 races of the VCO Grand Slam takes place on iRacing at the Daytona International Speedway. Any final words for him before I close things up here on the show?
No, thank you for inviting me to this, and yeah, enjoy sim racing, enjoy the real world motor racing, and it's always great to catch up. And I think we will continue this in the next years as we've done over the past, I don't know, 13.
Something like that. But folks, as I always close out the show, if in doubt, flat out, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening on the respective audio platforms, Downforce Radio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and for those that have also subscribed and liked this video. So we'll see you again very soon for episode 42 of Commentator's Corner. Until then, goodbye.